This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
We are back here, excited to have our friend Debra Hodgen joining us, and we're going to talk today more about her work as a biodynamic craniosacral therapist at Debra Hodgen Wellness. And also, we're going to meet someone very influential and a good friend in her life as well to talk more. But excited to have you, and welcome back to the show. How's everything,
Thank
Debra?
you. Good. Good,
Great.
good, good.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
excited. I want you to introduce yourself, and then let's meet our friend James Knight.
Yes, this is James. Yeah. I thought I'd just talk a little bit about craniosacral therapy in general.
Sure.
Last time I talked more about the way the body reacts to stress and that type of thing. And this time I'll just say what it can help and how it can help. So I'll do a little bit and then I'll introduce James.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Thanks. So if you're not familiar with craniosacral therapy, it is a very gentle, focused therapy where there's a light touch on the body. A person lays fully clothed on a table and there's a light touch. And what we're doing is we're tuning in to the cerebral spinal fluid in the system, which connects to everything else, the bones, the membranes, and everything. So by being strong and connected in that cerebral spinal fluid, we get to find out a lot of things. And pretty much everybody in the world has had some sort of stress or trauma in their life. They've fallen, they've been in a car accident, they've had childbirth, which is stressful to the system. So what this tries to do is help the body heal itself with a little bit of help. And one of the things that interests me is maybe someone might come in saying, oh, the right side of their lower back's been always hurting. And so we'll be focusing on that. But then something very different that happened in 8th grade or whatever can come up and we find out, oh yeah, you did fall off of a horse when you were a kid or something, or you had an issue that you weren't even aware of anymore. After the sessions are usually an hour and a half. And then afterwards, most people feel a sense of ease or more wellness, less pain. And it's a little bit hard to explain craniosacral until you've actually had it. It's like trying to tell somebody what a dill pickle tastes like.
Right.
But once you do, it can have a very strong effect on how you're feeling, your wellness. And so that's the main thing I wanted to say. And it's beneficial anywhere from an infant all the way up to someone quite elderly. I've worked with people, in their 90s. And, you've had a lot of miles under your feet by that time. There's stuff going on. So anyway, I'd like to invite people that are in the San Diego area to come visit me, or I also do remote sessions. So at the end, we'll talk about how that happens. But now I want to introduce James. This is James Knight, and he's a lot of things, but he's a gentle somatic yoga teacher and initiated this whole way of being with the body. So the best thing I can do is turn it over to James and let him explain.
Beautiful. Hi, James. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you.
Great. Please introduce yourself to start. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, before I do, Deborah, I'm having flashbacks of
Ah,
when we used to do trades because I'm an integrative therapist. I lived in San Diego and I met Deborah 20 years ago. So I'm having
oh,
memories
wow.
of being on your table receiving
Ah,
craniosacral therapy.
this is
So I just
great.
want to start with that and how profound it was. It's so incredibly soothing for the nervous system. And so I just wanted to share that I was having that nice recall in my soma.
Yeah.
A good
So
memory.
yeah, so this is very exciting for me to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I had the privilege, well, I have the privilege of bridging the fields of somatics and yoga in the early 1990s. Was an athlete previous to that. I never thought I would get into the healing arts. And I was fortunate to meet Eleanor Criswell Hanna, and she's the one that created somatic yoga. And she just was one of the teachers, many teachers I've had in my life that just kind of like saw me before I knew myself and invited me eventually then to take over this upper division psychology class at Sonoma State University. And that started so many things, so much continuing education in the healing arts, including becoming a body-oriented psychotherapist and a yoga
Yeah.
teacher of many different methods and an aquatic therapist and working with energy medicine and quantum physics. So I've just got super excited once I started getting into the field and most importantly, becoming certified in Hanna somatic education. So Thomas Hanna was the one that coined the word somatics. And now it's become this buzzword. And now I'm blown away
Uh-huh.
30 years, 40 years later, that somatics and somatics yoga is like the most searched for term on the internet of any other style of yoga. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I was there from the very beginning and have been practicing all this time creating this method, genosomatic yoga. So it's a wonderful, beautiful time. So I travel around the world. I teach other teachers and therapists. I'm just getting ready to do a training here in my hometown, Tucson, and it's one of my deepest passions because it's different from other styles of popular yoga because the focus is not on stretching.
Yeah.
It's focused on repatterning the brain to muscle connection and actually turning on parts of the brain so that we can regain voluntary control of our physiology. And there's so much that we can self-regulate. Anybody in this field, who's interested in self-care, there's a lot of things that we can change. And so this method that I developed is a combination of many things, but the neuroscience is Hanna Semitic education. So it's really nice to be able to come on this interview today and kind of like not only demystify it, but clarify what is somatics because it's being used in ways that actually aren't starting in the origination, which was Thomas Hanna.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for this. Continue.
Okay, all right. Well, because this is very, very, very exciting. So the focus in genosomatic yoga is the technique called pendiculation. So it's interesting that pendiculation is actually a very natural thing that humans and animals, babies, you can see babies in a crib and they're kind of bringing their limbs in and they're stretching them out. If you have a cat or a dog after they wake up
Yeah.
from a nap, they're kind of like, lifting a limb and arching their back. And so even a yawn is considered a pendiculation. So it's when we specifically contract muscle groups, experience from within,
Yeah.
which I'll share in just a second, and then slowly release muscle engagement and then rest. That's a pendiculation. So that's what this method offers is being able to have an anatomical focus. Let's say the neck, the upper back, the shoulder. And then we mindfully go through this process of interoception. And interoception, that's the fancy name, but what it really means is tuning in, first person experience. What is the sensation? What do we experience as sensation? So rather than focusing like on
Yeah.
regular yoga practices, like an outcome of a pose or a perfect alignment of a pose, there's no such thing in genosomatic yoga. It's taking different body shapes and learning to tune into our body's messages and then make a generative life decision. So it happens, in the studio, but it also is something that we can practice in everyday life once we understand how we can regain voluntary control of our muscles. If that,
Beautiful. You're teaching me. Yeah, makes sense.
yeah, okay, good. Yeah, because like pain, stiffness, lack of
Oh
flexibility,
gosh.
posture
Oh
imbalances.
yeah, now you got me thinking about how I've been sitting so poorly. Sorry, don't judge. Oh,
Yeah, there's habits. We can't help it. As adults, we have habits. I mean, I spend a lot of time on the computer too. And like Deborah was saying, we all the memories of our life is stored in our tissues, not only our muscles, but our connective tissues, the fascia. And then we're also energy beings. We have an energetic field, and that's constantly informing us. So we have a lot going on all the time. And what's so empowering is to know that if we can tune in and feel our body's messages, then we might be able to make more generative responses to the information that's coming in from life
beautifully said.
instead of react, to
Yeah,
stress.
which a lot of
And,
us
and
do. Go
well,
ahead.
yeah, and ultimately, that's really like the Thomas Hanna created Hanna Semitic education, and he was a philosopher and an academic. He was a lecturer. He wrote books, and his main interest was freedom. What is freedom? And if the body is not free, if we're not able to lift our arm above our head or,
Mm,
pick up groceries and put them in our car, we're not able to get to a freer mental state, an emotional state, uh, a spiritual state, connected to something more than ourselves. And so he discovered Moshe Feldenkrais, who was Israeli physicist and engineer, and brought him over from Europe in the 1960s. And so that's where Thomas Hanna learned the Feldenkrais method. And then eventually he went on to increase turning on more parts of the brain. So I was there. That's what I was saying. I was there kind of right at the beginning in the early 1990s when somatics was not even known. And it was very not Thomas Hanna published a book, but now it's like people are wanting to be kinder to their bodies in a movement practice, and they want to be able to have more long-term results. A lot of times a massage, an acupuncture, a chiropractic treatment, will work for a little while, but if the muscles are contracted as if on autopilot, like that's what happens in this work, it's called sensory motor amnesia, where the muscles actually stay contracted even when
yeah,
we think we're relaxing. Our minds can't say shoulders drop if we don't, you know what I mean? So that's one of the things that I love about this method is inspired from Thomas Hanna, is continuing to explore the topic is what is freedom? And for me, freedom is coming back to choice points, to me being actually able to respond instead of react. So I'm very passionate about this, obviously. So um yeah, so how does that feel sound right now? Is this coming through coherently?
Yes,
go ahead.
absolutely.
Go ahead. You're the expert. You tell him how good he's doing.
He's great. Um, I took the level 1 training of gentle somatic yoga, and I just found it so beneficial. And um, it's just different than everything else.
Yeah.
It contains so much, and I feel like it connects with the things we do in craniosacral therapy. You know, we're trying to bring the body to the deepest point of health, and so it feels familiar. And there's things that are, and in everything, there's something that's just a little challenging. Like, there might be one pose, it's just, hard. And then you work on it and have it. And, I don't know why it's hard. It might be because of past traumas, but um, there's benefit there when we keep going, the more often we can do it. Yeah.
Beautiful. And now you've been doing this for how long? Just want to go back to you 1 second, if you don't mind. This has
Me?
been, yes, James.
Yeah, well, gosh, I think, well, I'm going on like 35 years. And so when I became certified in Hanna Semitic education, so yeah, it's quite young. I was like
You
19.
still look so young.
I do. Thank
You're
you.
I only
welcome.
bring
Thank-
I
Thank
only
you,
bring
Deb.
gorgeous people onto the
I
show.
see. I see.
You guys are
I'm
making me
blushing.
blush. You guys are making me blush.
It does a body good, I guess, this somatic stuff I'm
Yes,
learning
Oh,
about.
not
yeah.
hurting anything.
It really does. It is a lifestyle. I've created a very incredible lifestyle for myself, making generative life decisions. But yeah, I started when I was like 19, 20, and I started off with a Vipassana meditation retreat. There's a lot of things that led up to this, but it happened fairly quickly. My path in the healing arts was vertical. Like after I started experience freedom within myself, I wanted to share it with people, and that's how I became a therapist. Most of my career, I've been a clinical therapist where I see people in my office. And then because so many people were having transformation on my table or in my office, sometimes we stand, I thought, how can I help more people at once? And that's how eventually it wove into becoming group movement classes disguised as yoga, because back then I chose the term yoga not to mean stretching, but yoga to mean union with the whole self. And Deborah and I were talking a couple of nights ago, and I moved to San Diego from Denver because there was a period of
Hmm.
time when I was studying to be a psychotherapist that I was only a client. But my career at that time was a high-end sacred designer of sacred spaces. So Deepak Chopra hired me in California, and I was taught. I'm a master Ayurvedic therapist, and that's when I met Debra because I was looking for a yoga teacher in San
Ah,
Diego, and she was my very first yoga teacher, and she was teaching Anusara at the time, and that's how I met Debra. And so really, Debra's been here from the very beginning of the inception of when I brought the combination of some of the things I'm sharing, core energetic psychotherapy, Hana somatic education, all the things I said earlier. I started experimenting in with my yoga classes. At the time I met Deborah, and then somebody discovered me and said, James, you're doing something really cool. Let's make some videos. It was Sherry Zach Morris, who's still a dear friend of mine today. She lived in the San Diego area. She said, "Do you want to do some videos with this? What you're doing?" And I'm like,
ah.
"Sure." It was called Take Five Moment, her company. And anyway, this was just at the time I met Deborah. I was going to her class, and I thought, I'm going to bring a little bit of this stuff into my yoga classes at the beginning and at the end. And then my students would say, "Hey, James, would you do that weird thing where you push your foot out and you lift your toes?" And because gentle somatic yoga is very adaptable for most people, it's done on the floor, it's done with your eyes closed, it's not difficult. And so, because of my students were like, yeah, James, can you please do that again? Then it just started seeping in, and the integration started happening, and it all was there at this point when I met Deborah. So thank you for being my teacher, Deborah, and my friend. And now we're here 20 years later.
That's
I
right.
love it. Beautiful. Wow. What else do we have to talk about, ladies and gentlemen? What else did you want to make sure we cover for today?
Well, you know what? Well, Deborah, do you mind if I keep
Oh,
going?
go right ahead.
Okay, because I don't know how this works. This is my first
Yeah,
time
that's how it works.
on this podcast. Okay, well, I just feel so passionate. What I'm really interested, so there's a foundation that I teach gentle somatic yoga, and it's really adaptable. And even the trainings are designed now for what I would call the everyday person, anyone who wants to learn how to age gracefully. Because when we unwind from our traumas, like Deborah was saying, when we unwind from our traumas and we can have more freedom, then more pleasure and fulfillment can come into our lives. When our body's not in pain or stiff, and we're more flexible, then it's just natural to be brighter in our mental field and brighter in our emotional field. There's still ups and downs to life.
Yeah.
That's natural. But what I'm excited about now is bringing in complementary methods because there's a neuroscience that works. People find relief very quickly, often in these practices of gentle somatic yoga. But my newest interest is joining with people in other fields, keeping the
Oh,
neuroscience
wow.
pure. But for
Okay.
example, yeah, like this weekend, I'm doing it's called Somatic Sanctuary. It's a once a month live stream workshop, and I've been doing it ever since the pandemic. Every Saturday, once a month for 5 years. But the person that's joining me on Saturday, for example, I'll just give one example. They are a trauma-informed yoga therapist, and
Okay.
they really enjoy incorporating nada yoga, which is the sound which is the yoga of sounding. So Ren Ainsley and I are coming together, and as a trauma-informed yoga therapist, we're going to be using toning and sound sensing. I just
Wow.
love this word, sound
Me too.
sensing, while doing the somatic movement flows. So
Okay.
as we're in the flows, we're going to be making organic sounds, and that activates the vagus nerve, which activates the
Hmm.
parasympathetic nervous system, and it just brings a whole nother level to the practice. So that's kind of where I'm going into the future is pairing up with people, that have these, because there's so much information out there now. There's so many beneficial things. So that's what I'm doing
Right.
now. And I'm bringing him into retreats. I just got back from Yelapa, Mexico. I do kind of
Oh my
exotic,
goodness.
exotic off the beaten path retreats. There's some really cool things happening into the future, New Zealand and Sardinia, the island of Sardinia. So I'm really interested in bringing activating lifestyle as a way to create whole self nourishment. So it's the foods we eat, it's the relationships we have, it's the hobbies we love, it's art, it's travel. Like I'm interested in taking what I normally do on the mat and bring it out into the world and just keep
Yeah.
working with making nourishing decisions for ourselves. It's so exciting.
Wow. And I mean, the two of you together. So you guys met, you said 20 years ago? Is that even possible?
2005,
Yeah.
Oh my
2005, 2006.
goodness. And where are you located now?
I'm in Tucson, Arizona. Yeah, this is my virtual studio.
I was going to say, so you're able to do all this virtually as well. It's not fully
Yeah.
hands-on. Okay, good.
No, no, yeah. I see clients one-on-one, but I do a lot of live stream trainings from here. But Tucson's been a great launching point for me to go to other places around the world. Like I'm designing a whole tour in the UK next year. So this is my home base, but I
Yeah.
also, yeah, travel quite a bit, actually.
Great. What else did you want to ask him? Anything else, Deborah, that would really, benefit your listeners here today?
Um, well, I guess I would say to look on James' website and see what's available because like he said, you don't have to be a person who's done yoga for 20 years to benefit from the
Hmm.
workshops, and there's a lot of things online. I take classes from him on Zoom, and I think people would really enjoy any part of it. Do you still have your book out, James, or is that?
It's being
Yes.
rewritten right now. Yeah, it's
Oh,
it's
I
wow.
wondered if.
I have the work. So I have a workbook and an encyclopedia of the somatic movement flows. It's offered in a digital format, but yeah,
Oh,
I'm actually writing a few books right now, so I can't wait. But
A
yeah,
few.
what's that?
A few.
A few. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's a
Impressive.
lot brewing in here. And I meet so many beautiful people like yourselves all the time and I'm inspired to connect people. So yeah, please go to my website. It's gentlesomaticyoga.com and there's just a lot of different offerings and it's just exciting time. I'm really interested in bridging and creating conscious global community. Like meeting up with other wellness centers and yoga, not just yoga. But like next week, I'm flying up to Denver to this beautiful new wellness center,
Oh,
and
wow.
in October I'm going to Yogaville, which is an ashram from the lineage of Swami Satchidananda, which is like mind blowing. They have something called the Lotus Temple, and then I'll
Wow.
be going to Massachusetts. So yeah, if you're interested and just learning what is possible, like a lot of people think of yoga as stretching and it's sometimes people are not listening to their body's messages and they get hurt or they don't want to do it because they're not flexible, or there's this whole other side to yoga that Western world created, but there's so much more, when we can really drop in and just decide, do I want to do this? Does this
Yeah.
feel good? So anyway, I guess I just wanted to end with that yeah, please, if you're interested, come join and be a part of the community. And Deborah, thank you so much for
You're
inviting
very
me today.
welcome.
This is
I
so
mean,
fun for me. I feel so enlivened to connect with you again.
yeah,
And Jill, it's been wonderful to meet you too. Thank you so much.
Well,
yeah.
thank you so much. And how can we reach out to you one more time? Tell us.
It's gentlesomaticyoga.com, but I
Perfect.
also have a YouTube channel. You can search for my name, James Knight.
Yep.
And I'm constantly uploading. So if you want to try it for yourself, some free videos, I'm always putting new videos in there. And then, of course, I'm on social media, Instagram and Facebook. Same thing. You can find me under James Knight or Gentle Somatic Yoga.
Perfect. Thank you. And Deborah, how do we contact you?
Um, My website as well, debrahodgen.com, and it's EBRAHODGEN.com. And that talks about what I do on the website, and also I do gentle yoga and chair yoga too. So that there's information about that on there. My phone number.
Debra's an amazing teacher.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope people reach out. And thank you again for joining us today, and good getting to
too.
know you. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, you
And
too.
we'll connect
Thank
again
you.
soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.